morning, everybody. It's quite a lot of people here. It's interesting to see how the interest in OpenStack actually goes up and up. Today I want to take you through some context for OpenStack, blockers that we see in the marketplace, and some use cases from real-life customers. First of all, context. Monty was talking about hybrid IT. I think Gartner phrased it as bi-model IT. What we see today is that organizations have their IT environments, traditional IT environments, and they want to move to cloud. It's not all that easy. Not every application is ready for cloud. So we see in real life that you have two modes of IT. One for traditional IT, business as usual, vertically scalable applications, and one for cloud IT. In real life, we believe, for the next years maybe, the practice situation will be bi-model IT. You need a bit of both to actually land all the applications that you want to serve to your customers. So bi-model IT as a context. There's a lot of change going on. Business wants to speed up, wants to be very agile, wants to respond to what the market demands. Developers need speed. They're always waiting for these slow guys at IT operations. So IT operations has to make a change. They want to be Amazon. They want to be fast. They want to provide IT infrastructure to developers and in the end to the business very, very quickly. So looking at applications, if you want to run them in cloud, there are specific requirements. Today, applications are designed pretty much in this way. Possible to land them everywhere. High availability is taken care of in the application rather than the infrastructure. So it's a completely new type of design. Regrettably, not all applications that we have today have been designed in this order. Hence, the requirement for bi-model IT. Now, we talk to a lot of customers, and they tell us all kinds of things that introduce possibilities for OpenStack. So one, data leakage prevention. It's an interesting one. Because IT operations sometimes is too slow, typically business people will go to the Amazons of this world. They take their credit card and they provision themselves with virtual machines to land applications on. This is something that is not necessarily bad as long as you know what's going on. Practices, we have no idea. People don't want to wait. They go to Amazon, they go to Google, I don't care, they put workloads there. Out goes data, beyond our control. So a CIO of a large media company told us we need to speed up as IT operations, because if we don't, information will leak, we have no control, no compliance. Another one, a CTO of a large bank told us, look, we need to be consistent. There's a lot of regulations that we need to adhere to, and for this specific reason, we need to redeploy recipes. We want to be absolutely sure that all the workloads we roll out are consistent and fit the needs of regulatory requirements. Now there's the opportunity for OpenStack. Why OpenStack? OpenStack allows you to actually mimic capabilities like Amazon. It's fast. It provides massive scale-out possibilities. It removes vendor lock, and it's open. Because it's open, it can integrate with pretty much anything. API economy. And this one I like. I heard you talk, Monty. A lot of feature velocity coming out of the communities. And if they're all as fast as you are, then I understand why this velocity is so ridiculously high. A lot of new features and a lot of new cool stuff coming in. And of course, you want to adopt that. OpenStack offers this possibility. Now, if all these possibilities are there, we all know about OpenStack, why doesn't everybody use it yet? All of you are interested and consider it. Believe me, at some point in time, you will most probably use OpenStack. Thing is, there are some challenges around OpenStack. It's new. It requires a new way of working. The pet versus cattle comparison analogy we probably all have heard. If you look at traditional virtualization applications landing there, if anything goes wrong with this application in production, you will fix it. If anything goes wrong with an application running in OpenStack, you just replace it. No fixing in production. It's a different approach, a different way of working that IT operations has to get used to. Now, OpenStack is difficult to deploy, to run and maintain, to do lifecycle management on. Again, there's a lot of features coming in, a lot of changes. If you look at the cadence in communities, every 6 months, there's a new beast. And of course, with new possibilities. And since it's communities developing, it's the markets developing, it's you developing, it's probably something that companies need. So you want to adopt a new technology as soon as you can. And that's a challenge, because today it's pretty much a rip and replace. It's a migration kind of thing. And not only that, OpenStack is not for everybody. It's not for everything. It's mode 2 only. What we see a lot is customers beginning to look at OpenStack as an alternative type of virtualization. Well, it's not. It's much more than that. So if you make that comparison and you want to try and land all your workloads, all your applications on OpenStack, it's going to be a bit difficult. So first try and understand what it really is. So if you look at today's reality, everybody wants to innovate. Everybody wants to speed up. Bi-model IT is a fact of life. Not all applications land on OpenStack. Consistency, predictability in infrastructure are key. We're adding complexity all the time. We want to be in control. And lifecycle management, specifically on OpenStack, is challenging. Now, as Red Hat, we address this, and this is not unique to Red Hat. It's again following the lines of Gartner, Mode 1. Your Mode 1 IT, traditional virtualization, you might want to standardize on as much as you can. You might want to create recipes, blueprints, golden images, whatever you prefer to call it, designs of VMs, of infrastructure that you want to be able to roll out. So step 1, and Red Hat uses Satellite for that, but it could be any configuration management tool, standardize on what you want to roll out in your production infrastructure. Step 2, add a cloud management platform. Cloud management platform introduces possibilities immediately that give you an idea of a cloud experience. It's a self-service portal. So it allows your customers to self-provision VMs from this portal. It gives you a lot of insight in the environment that you're running, but also it allows you to orchestrate new workloads. So, Mode 1, traditional virtualization. 85% of the times that would be VMware. This particular cloud management platform allows you to also orchestrate different virtualization platforms. In Red Hat case, that would be Red Hat Enterprise Linux Virtualization. From the same platform, you can also manage and orchestrate OpenStack. So this is the Mode 2. You want to combine the two. So you have the cloud management platform in place, you orchestrate your traditional virtualization environment based on recipes that you store somewhere in a repository, and you're going to do the same thing for OpenStack. Now you can combine the two. OpenStack Director, and I'll dive into that in the next slides, is what we use to do the lifecycle management for OpenStack. I put it in as a separate box here because today is brand new. It's not yet completely integrated with the other products. It will be soon, though. But if you combine the two, you have bi-model IT. The characteristics of OpenStack and the cloud management platform that we provide make it possible to not only run these workloads and these infrastructures from your own data center, but also to do the very same thing from public cloud data centers. For a user, it should not be different where it runs. It should be a transparent experience. I want a VM. I don't even want to think about where it runs. You can actually have it run on policies. Now, this policies thing comes back in all the flavors that you see in the picture. What you want to be able to do is abstract all specifics, all intelligence, everything that makes your infrastructure from the infrastructure, and put it on a different abstraction level. In this particular case, a cloud management platform. What you do underneath should be standard. Now, OpenStack Director helps you to manage the undercloud. I'll get into that later. These are some snapshots, screenshots, from what it provides you. This one, at this stage, is separate, specific for OpenStack. It gives you insight in what nodes you have deployed, what type of workloads you have deployed on OpenStack, the different types of controllers and so forth that you have in place, the health state of those. It connects directly to your configuration management tooling, which helps you do some reconnaissance on what kind of metals do I see that I want to run OpenStack on. What RAID set do I see, what BIOS do I see, and so forth. And it will adjust the recipe that you roll out for this specific hardware environment. Now, on the deployment side, it automates deployment for the undercloud. Recently I had to explain to my wife what I do. And I used to get away with, I do something with computers, because that's the easiest thing to say. But now her company goes into the cloud. And she asked me a quite technical question all of a sudden. Hey Erik, do you now sell cloud, over cloud, or under cloud? Wow, do you even know what you're asking? And she didn't. Well, at that point we were waiting in a pizzeria. And it's a large one, it's a chain, and these guys have automated the process of providing pizzas. And the funny thing is, there is a nice analogy. If you look at your infrastructure, it's the bottom of the pizza, you want to standardize it. Every single one of you will have personal favorite pizza. It could be pepperoni, it could be, I don't care, seafood pizzas, whatever. It's a completely different pizza, but in the bottom it's the same. You all have the dough bottom, you have the tomato sauce on top, you have the cheese on top. Same for everybody. This is your undercloud. Now in comes a recipe. A recipe for a pizza marinara, quattro stagioni, I don't care what. That makes the pizza individual. That makes it your personal workload. So this distinction, the pizza bottom, undercloud, basic infrastructure, and the topping that makes it your workload, is actually what you see in production in IT today. OSP Director will allow rolling upgrades. Today, it's pretty much a migration. If you want to change from one distribution to the next, it's a migration. We're going to automate that process, making it possible to have a rolling upgrade, to introduce fixes, patches, updates, new features and functionalities. It will protect the state and the consistency of the infrastructure. And it will automatically discover new hardware added to the infrastructure, adapting the recipe to run OpenStack in this infrastructure. In a Red Hat context, there's automatic registration with satellite of all the hardware in OSP Director. OSP Director can pick up from satellite all the patches and updates that you might need for OpenStack and distribute them across your cloud. You can add and remove infrastructure capacity automatically. Of course, that's one of the main things of OpenStack, on demand. You have some simple dashboards, the pictures I just showed you, on the performance and the status of your undercloud, of your OpenStack environment. Now you can actually upgrade across OpenStack versions, starting RHEL OSP 7, the next release. Now, oh, it's the same slide. Let's see if now that all the blockers are out of the way, we have the possibility to run by model IT rather than either one. We have the possibility to automatically update and upgrade. There's tooling for that. What's stopping us from using it? So let's look at how some of our customers actually use OpenStack in production. Use case 1, there is a high-tech company. It provides software for set-top boxes and satellite receivers and so forth, for different vendors. What they had to do in the past for these vendors to test the software on their hardware, on their set-top boxes and so forth, is provide them with a testing infrastructure, with the test suites in place and so forth. They have quite a lot of customers, about 300 or 350 or so. For each individual customer, they had an infrastructure sitting ready. Was it used every day? No. That's a shame. A lot of waste of capacity. So what I did now is they built the recipes for the individual customers to test their specific hardware. They have this test suite sitting ready. In comes the customer through a portal, CloudForms, the cloud management platform, and they can self-provide the test environment with the specific test suite for their situation. So the advantage here is, of course, a tremendous cost reduction, much more efficiency, and actual on-demand use of the infrastructure in the test environment. There's a hosting service provider in pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceutical organizations really are bound and tied to a lot of regulation. Now, every time an infrastructure has to be provided, has to be developed, there's a lot of auditing involved. Takes a lot of time. There's a service provider who decided, look, we can fix that. We have a data center that lives up to the highest standards. We're going to design and develop an infrastructure, recipe-based, that we can redeploy and redeploy over and over again. And it will allow these pharmaceuticals to leave their data in our data center. And whenever they need to use these data for research or big data applications, we'll provide them with OpenStack infrastructure to do the compute, to do the big data analysis, or to do the research, where the data itself resides in actually mode 1 IT, big databases. So it's again the combination. This was very cost effective, but it's also very convenient for the users. They don't have to think and rethink the auditability and the compliance and regulation. It's there. It's there ready, waiting for them to use. Now, another one, financial transactions, completely different use case. And the reason they chose OpenStack, or the solution that was sold to them, is in fact that they had a lot of churn. Staff was coming in and leaving like crazy. They couldn't keep them. I don't know what the reason was, but that was a big, big challenge for them, specifically since they're in financial transactioning. It's regulated. So every time they had to train people, once they started working, they left. They said, we need to address that. We need to do something to fix that issue. And I said, let's standardize as much as we can. Let's automate as much as we can, so that any idiot can do the trick, pushing some buttons. So for them, OpenStack in combination with some standard virtualization solved the problem. They're deploying all their workloads recipe-based, pushing some buttons, deploying wherever they want. On top of the advantage of being able to pick and choose new stuff whenever they saw fit, they had a tremendous cost reduction. Because everything was standardized, it's easier to control, no more deviation from the standards that we need. Number 4, shared services center in the automotive industry. It's actually a car manufacturer. And they have a lot of dealers and importers and so forth that actually need the same technology, need the same software, the same applications. And they're all creating their own. So they're inventing the wheel, automotive, inventing the wheel and reinventing the wheel over and over again. Doesn't make sense. So what they decide is, look, let's bring all the designs and the best practices that we can find together, put them in a service catalog, and make it accessible through a portal. So everybody that wants to use some of this technology doesn't have to reinvent the wheel, can just reuse what has been invented by colleagues. Much more efficiency, much more consistency, easier to manage. So all the intelligence, all the smart rules that make things specific go into a higher abstraction level. In this particular case, they improved speed, improved agility, and they reduced cost dramatically. So that's my real-life cases. There's time for questions. Does anybody have questions? Just looking at this as a recap, I said, bimodal IT is today's reality. Don't try to use just OpenStack. Use it as part of a more comprehensive IT infrastructure. OpenStack perfectly fits the bimodal IT concept. It makes sense. With the operational challenges out of the way, I'm sure adoption will speed up. It's getting bigger, it's getting broader, but it will definitely help. And customers keep coming up with fantastic ideas to creatively use OpenStack as an economic part of their infrastructure. And I'm curious to find out today what your ideas about that are. Does anybody have questions with regard to OpenStack, bimodal IT, cloud management platforms? Sir?
Question. You talked about that OpenStack dashboard or so, that box that's integrated. Is that a Red Hat solution, or is that also open source?
The question is, the OSP Director dashboard you're referring to, is that a Red Hat thing or is that open source? First of all, Red Hat is open source only. So there's community and there's Red Hat. It's both open source. What we did with OSP Director is combine best practices from all the different deployment models that were available. Triple O, Spinal Core, eDeploy, and I don't know what. There's quite a lot. So we collected the best practices by talking to customers, listening to them, looking at practice, and this is what we bundled in OSP Director. So it's something that we distribute with OSP 7 as an integral part. You don't buy it, it's just shipped with OSP 7. Does that answer the question? Okay. Anybody else? Sir?
Yeah, in the beginning you mentioned that we need to go to a couple of new models. One of them is don't update your machine into to spin up a new one.
Yeah.
I can sell that in my company. The thing that I may have some backlash on is if I say, oh yeah, you have to upgrade the whole platform every half year. Is there a way, an elegant way around that?
To upgrade the OpenStack platform, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be rolling upgrades starting from OpenStack Platform 7, which is the Kilo distribution. So it's brand new again, and I'm showing it today, but it will be an integral part of what we offer as Red Hat. But for sure, it's open source, so you can find it in the communities too, real soon. So yeah, and it will be automated. Thank you. Anybody else? No. Thank you. The question is, CloudForm's OSP Director, what's the difference? Well, talking about overcloud and undercloud, OSP Director focuses on the undercloud, so the technical infrastructure. So it rolls out the OpenStack infrastructure for you. What you put on top is orchestrated by CloudForms, so the recipe, the application, the workload, if you like. So OSP Director purely focuses on the infrastructure side, undercloud. Anybody else? Yeah.
What is the open source name for OSP Director?
I have no idea.
We have ManageIQ and we have Catello, or something like that.
Thank you. I don't know. It will pop up soon, I'm sure. You'll probably find some pre-production releases on our website to download. That's compiled code that you can test and use. It's a peek through to what we will come up with. I'm not sure what the name of the product is in the community. Sorry. No, there you go. So RPO Manager it is. Thanks, Alessandro. Anybody else? If there's no more questions, I hereby conclude. Thank you for your attention and enjoy the day.